Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us 7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Obviously we feel very good where we are right now, but we know Oklahoma State's going to roll in a lot of really, really powerful, talented arms. So we kind of got to keep the same momentum that we have had and just kind of keep the same approach.
Oh, they just love the way I get at it. On the way I get after the quarterback, they like the way I just everything about the way I play.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, downtown Columbia. Here on a very hot Wednesday afternoon, Phil Kornbluth, the professor, Tom Hayes, along with you, and also Carson Mason behind the bulletproof glass, taking your phone calls, putting you in touch with us. If you'd like to join us, 800-956-7266. If you ever forget the number, 7266, very easy to remember. You know why? It won't be that easy for Gamecock fans. For Clemson fans, it's very easy.
Some kind of big joker from Aiken area played at Clemson.
Yeah, William Perry's numbers at Clemson, 66, and with the Bears, 72. Just reverse them, 7266. 800-956-72. To talk regional baseball, super regional baseball. Going to do a lot of that tonight. Also, recruiting season heating up as it gets hotter with all these summer camps. USC, Clemson having camps today, and USC getting 2 commitments. For the defensive side, you heard from Devon Bowen, the linebacker from Woodmont. Very good pickup for the Gamecocks. They also received a commitment today from a defensive tackle, defensive end, Devontae Wyatt, out of the Atlanta area from Decatur. We'll give you more details on each coming up in the recruiting report later on. But 2 defensive commitments for the Gamecocks. Of their 12 commitments now, 8 are from the state of South Carolina, as Will Muschamp and company are making it a point to try to get every player in the state they think is SEC caliber to commit to South Carolina. While Clemson is recruiting some guys in state, but the Tigers have bigger eyes and a greater stature right now, and they are eyeballing really more players out of state than in-state pro.
Well, it was interesting years ago, I think probably when Danny Ford was coaching, South Carolina talent was mined, especially. And Joe Morrison, some people complained that Joe Morrison was recruiting too many players out of state and wasn't in-state. Clemson was getting all the in-state players. Now it seems like the shoe is on the other foot. But if you're a coach just getting established in the state, you want to really establish your roots with the high school coaches. And when you show interest in their players, when they really have some gems, they'll come knocking at your door. So I think it's a key for Muschamp early on in his tenure at South Carolina to get in with high school coaches.
Yeah, for them, it's about building relationships when you start brand new. It's about building relationships. All right, coming up on the program tonight at 6:30, USC pitching coach Jerry Myers. At 7:10, Coastal Carolina coach Gary Gilmore. And at 7:30, it's going to be Oklahoma State coach Josh Holliday here on Sports Talk. So if you're a Gamecock fan listening to us, how do you feel about the recruiting by the football program to this point? 12 commitments so far, 8 with South Carolina ties. Players that look like good players. Now, some don't have the top-heavy offer lists, okay? There's no question about that. Not going to try and make something of it that's not there. They've got some players that don't have a lot of other big-time offers. But these are all players that they have evaluated personally and believe that they can win in the SEC with. And also players, too, you have to also consider when you offer and recruit hard, who can you get? You know, who can you get to commit? You don't want to spend a heck of a lot of time with a higher echelon player that you're not going to end up getting. And, South Carolina right now, coming off the season that it had, and with the coaching change and all that, it's at a disadvantage with the more established, successful programs who just waltz in, make offers, and turn the heads of top line players. It's got to be a work in progress. You got to take your baby steps before you can walk and then run in recruiting. I mean, Clemson's in the running stage. All right, Clemson is recruiting with the top elite programs in the country, as they should be, because that's where they are right now. And they hope to sustain it by, continued good success. And there's no reason not to think they won't sustain it. South Carolina is in that building process right now from a recruiting standpoint. And, they have got, I think, a good class right now. And especially when you're loading up with in-state players, if they're the right players who can play at the SEC level, I think you get a particular bond when you have a lot of in-state players together.
And also you got to remember that some programs, they recognize the player that they want for the system they run, i.e. Stanford, TCU. You don't see their numbers way up on the recruiting list, but when they've come out on the field, they look like top-notch football players. The other key point, Phil, that we're seeing in the equation now with all types of recruiting, not just South Carolina and Clemson, and I think Alabama has started this trend, quite frankly, is you get bodies, because you may have difference makers, but those difference makers are so much fresher, especially on defense, with these no-huddle offenses in the fourth quarter. How did Clemson get beat by Alabama? Well, one reason is they got outnumbered. Mm-hmm. They just threw a bunch of players at them, let those frontline players get some blows, and then they come back in the fourth quarter and they're fresher. It's almost like you're in a heavyweight fight sometimes with some of these fast-paced offenses.
All right, 800-956-7266. That's our number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at sportstalksc, the website sportstalksc.com, and on Facebook, we are at Sports Talk Radio Network. The poll question updated now that we've moved past the regionals into the super regionals. And the poll question now is, who wins their super regional? Coastal, USC, both, or neither? And right now, we've got 49.5% saying the Gamecocks, about 11% saying Coastal, about 23% say both, and about 17% say neither. Well, I think, for Coastal, going on the road, the odds strongly favor the home team in the super regionals. Mm-hmm. Over the years. The odds have strongly favored the home team. Yet, then again, when you lose your first game in a regional, the odds are strongly against you winning the regional. Like only 7% of teams that lose the first game in a regional end up winning. Well, South Carolina defied the odds there. So, Oklahoma State defied the odds by winning at Clemson. Does not mean you can't go down there and win. I think Coastal's got terrific pitching. And if they can just handle the atmosphere, they're probably – they've been on the road before, obviously, for regionals. And I think I got to go back and check the history, super regional-wise. Maybe a Chanticleer fan can correct me on this. Of course, they had the super regional against the Gamecocks in Myrtle Beach that time.
With a lot of Gamecock fans.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that was some regional. That was some exciting baseball, I tell you. And then, and remember, that was the regional where the Chanticleers lost their best player in the first inning to an
Right.
ankle injury. Remember, he was running to first base. He turned his ankle. He was done. And I think they lost – I think their best pitcher got hurt either right before the Super or in the Super. I think it was right before. So they were a little bit shorthanded. But anyway, I think the Gamecocks went on to win the national championship that year after beating
And they had
Coastal.
to have a big grand slam at one point to come from behind.
That
and
was a
win one of
great
those
Super
games.
Regional. But, I don't know that they've been in the sort of atmosphere they're going to be in at Alex Box this weekend.
If I'm Gary Gilmore, I just look at my players in the eye and said, look, isn't this what you dreamed about? Playing in a super regional in this atmosphere? Absorb it, relish it. This is something you tell your grandchildren about.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy the moment.
Exactly.
Rise
Have
to the
fun.
moment. Rise to the occasion. You know what? When he joins us, we'll suggest to him that he make those statements
He
to
probably
his
already
players
has.
and see if he listens to us. All right, 800-956-7266. What do you think about the Supers coming up? How confident are you that the Gamecocks can win at home? What about Coastal Carolina? Talk about that as well. Let me update some other news notes of the day besides the recruiting situation. Let's see. Oh, All-Americans, freshman All-Americans by collegiate baseball. Clemson outfielder Seth Beer was named the National Co-Freshman of the Year by collegiate baseball. He will share that honor with Tennessee Tech's Kevin Strachan. This year, Beer batted .369, 18 homers, 70 RBIs, had some amazing streaks, ended the season on a 60-game on-base streak, had a 26-game hitting streak. Just an incredible, incredible year. He was also named Freshman All-American by collegiate baseball. He'll play for USA Collegiate National Team this summer. Now, also named to the Freshman All-American team from South Carolina, you had two pitchers, Braden Webb, 10-5, 3.28 ERA, 122 strikeouts, and 46 walks. Also, Adam Hill from USC, 7-0, 3.53 ERA, 72 strikeouts. From Coastal Carolina, relief pitcher Austin Kitchen, 4-0, 2 saves, 3.19 ERA. Also named a freshman All-American. From College of Charleston, Dupree Hart. Remember him? Dupree Hart from Northwestern. Caught 21 passes, state championship football game a few years ago. 120 catches in a year, went to play baseball at Charleston. Hit .314, 11 doubles, 33 RBIs, 10 stolen bases. Also named to the freshman All-American team, Devon Ortiz from USC Upstate. Atlantic Sun Freshman of the Year, batted .352 with 5 triples, 18 RBIs. I wonder if he's related to Big Papi, Devon Ortiz and David Ortiz. Also named to the team, let's see, we have one more from Furman. From Furman, it is the outfielder, and I've got to find it here on the list. I've got the entire list of players, and I've got to do a quick search here. I know Furman has one on here as well. Oh, there he is, Jabari Richards, the freshman of the year in the Southern Conference. He batted .343 with 10 home runs, 11 doubles, 25 RBIs, and he stole 10 bases. Okay, I think that is everybody from the state who was named freshman All-American. So, you go back and you talk about the Gamecocks with 2 freshmen making the All-American team. That bodes well for their pitching in the future, to have good young talent like that, and the guys, if they come in like they're supposed to, guys coming back, Will Crow, the Morris kid, along with what they've got coming back, it really bodes well for a deep and talented pitching staff. I think they're a little ahead of schedule. They might make it to Omaha this year, but I think chances are even greater for them in 2017 to get there. Back in a moment. Have I mentioned recently how much I just hate Twitter and the people who are on Twitter? Have I mentioned that recently? 800-956-7266, the number here on Sports Talk. A couple of other major notes of interest for you. Former USC guard Marcus Stroman made a visit to Charleston Southern yesterday, but Charleston Southern last night got a commitment from a 6'6" big guard from Maryland for this year's class who's going to sign with them. And so there's no room at the inn at Charleston Southern for Marcus Stroman, so he'll have to look somewhere else. But he did go pay a visit to the Bucks. Just not going to work out for him because of space. The practice schedule for the Super Regional in Columbia, which I believe is open to the public. At least I hope so, because I'm about to give you the practice times. Friday, USC will practice 1 to 2:30. Then Oklahoma State will practice 2:45 to 4:15 over at Founders Park. And NCAA today announced the basketball attendance stats for last season. And USC averaged 11,995 fans per game, 5th in the SEC, 31st in the nation. And their total attendance in terms of the actual fans, 227,911 for 19 games. That was 3rd in the SEC and 22nd nationally. Kentucky bumped Syracuse from the top spot at 23,361. And then it was after Kentucky and Syracuse, and it was Louisville and North Carolina. Though most of those fans there in attendance in North Carolina weren't really fans. They were fraudulent people sitting in the stands.
And I also think
they were frauds.
I think
to go along with their
Syracuse
fraudulent degrees.
I think Syracuse should take a point from the NCAA people, and that is they are still leading in attendance. They just lost attendance because Boeheim had to sit out the first 8 games. So
they were terrible early on too. Remember how bad they were at the beginning of the year? Maryland had the largest increase in average at 5,169 per game. NCAA says attendance at men's games declined slightly last season. Now, on the women's side, USC was number 1 in average home attendance, 2nd straight season. They averaged 14,364. One of 2 programs to draw over 10,000 per game. That's an increase of 2,072 over last season. Played in front of the USC ladies played in front of 322,424 fans over 35 games this season.
Wow. I guess the other one was Tennessee still drawing fans.
I guess. I don't know. It doesn't say here. It's a little release from USC. So the men are about 12,000 and the women are at 14,300. So men need to get it going.
26.
Why do more people turn out for the women's games than the men?
Because they've cultivated their audience. You'll see a lot of women in the crowd. They bring their kids and they drag their husbands. It's a different sort of crowd.
Are you saying the men don't really want to go? Is that what you're saying?
No,
you said drag.
You
said drag. No, you didn't say some. You said drag. You said all husbands are being dragged.
I didn't say all. I said husbands being dragged. I used all, but I didn't use all. Where are they?
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut, Professor Tom Hayes here. Braves are winning, top of the ninth in San Diego, 4-2, trying to hold on. And we've got plenty of baseball to talk about tonight. Gary Gilmore in the next hour. Also, we'll talk to the head coach from Oklahoma State in the next hour as well, Josh Holliday, get his thoughts on being in Columbia and taking on the Gamecocks. Let's find out what's happening with the Gamecocks right now as pitching coach Jerry Myers taking some time off from the hard work and the heat to join us here. And first of all, congratulations on surviving. I think that's probably the best way to describe teams that have to go to the mat and rise up and win a regional. It's just surviving.
Yeah, it was a great weekend, and, our guys answered the bell, fans answered the bell, and, we were in them, I guess, sometime into really that first game against Rhode Island on Sunday after beating Duke on Saturday. But our guys just kind of got things going offensively, played great defense, and we had just enough of a pitching combination to get it done.
Yeah. I know every sport has its challenging playoff formats. Football, you play a championship game, and now you play a semifinal game and a championship game if you get that far. And basketball's got its tournaments. But when you get to the national tournament, you do have a day off between games and an entire week off between games. You don't have that when you get to the national baseball tournament. You start playing, and it's an everyday grind, especially if you happen to lose that first game. Can you tell us about what it's like being, in the dugout, in the locker room, and coming off the mat as you guys had to do, and using every pitching combination you could come up with and making every move possible to try to win your way through that regional?
Yeah, well, it was, a tough deal to have to swallow their losing the first one. And the toughest thing about the entire tournament, once the 64 teams are picked, is fighting your way through a loser's bracket of the first round in the regional with, days off and just a best 2 out of 3 in the super regional format. The toughest format is getting through that regional if you happen to get a loss in one of your first 2 games. And, we knew it was going to be a tough road, and that, the percentages were against us and all that. But Coach Holbert did a great job of getting our guys just to focus on the next thing that we could control, and not looking at it as we had to win 4 games, but to look at it as, we got to win 1 more, and then get that one done. We got to win 1 more. And the only way we can do that is go, 1 pitch at a time, 1 inning at a time, and just try to play our best. And, I think Hunter Taylor's big hit in the Rhode Island game kind of got us going in that one, and gave us a little bit of a feeling that, we might be able to get this thing done if we can just keep playing our best.
So you basically used your 7 top pitchers during the most crucial aspects of the regional. And as a group, from Reagan to Scott to Johnson to Webb to Schmidt to Hill to Wagner, those 7 as a group, how did you think they performed?
They did a great job as a whole. Kind of the unsung guy that of that batch was Reed Scott was kind of the security blanket yesterday, a guy who had been out there in a lot of tight situations in relief for us and done well. He was gonna back up, Clark Schmidt and Braden Webb, who hadn't performed in a relief appearance, just in case it didn't turn out well or they weren't comfortable. So he was a guy that was very valuable for us and didn't get in that last game. The other 2 guys, obviously Tyler Johnson and Adam Hill, eating up those innings like they did in the 2 games that we won on Sunday. That was huge. We had a few more guys we could have gone to that maybe hadn't pitched as much here lately, but what those 2 guys did and giving us extended outings against Rhode Island and UNCW the first game was huge for us.
As far as Tyler Johnson's performance is concerned, you look at him, he gets past the 4th, he gets through the 5th. What sort of things, questions or things you were talking about with him maybe in the dugout as he went longer and longer into the contest?
Well, after the first inning, it was more, hey, you've been a reliever all year. You've been coming in short stints, and don't try to approach this. Something we had talked about a little bit, but just had a little feeling in the first that he was thinking about the big picture instead of keeping the same mindset that he has when he's closing a game or he's setting it up for Josh Reagan or whatever his role and scenario that he's come in games has been. And he did a really good job of just staying in the moment, doing everything he could to just go one pitch at a time, like we said, and just get the next guy. And as innings went on, I felt good about where he was physically, and we were looking at it as we got a lot more than we thought we'd get out of him in terms of mileage, and pitch count was still reasonable as we approached the final few outs that we had to get.
Talking with USC pitching coach Jerry Myers. All right, now it's Oklahoma State rolling into town, and you just had to use some pitchers yesterday to finish things up. So how did things look for Saturday? What you're thinking as of tonight about who will be your starter?
Yeah, we're not positive yet. We feel like we've got, or at least are going to have some options after some recovery time. It's a good thing that ours is starting on Saturday, and that gives our guys a little bit extra time there. It's much needed. Right now, we feel like Clark Schmidt's bullpen day is usually a Tuesday. That's more than a bullpen, what he did coming in and getting hot and going. And Braden Webb usually doesn't throw his bullpen after a start until Wednesday or Thursday, depending on if he's going Friday, Saturday, adjusted weekends on the SEC weekends. But it's been a good first 24 hours of recovery for those guys. They say they feel really, really well right now. Tyler Johnson's probably needing a little bit more time than those two. Taylor Widener should bounce back pretty well by Friday as well. So hopefully we're back to where we were going into last week, where we have some options, and none of those guys need an extra day. But really tomorrow, I know I'm not giving you an answer, but really tomorrow is going to be a telltale sign of where those guys feel like they're at in terms of recovery time after doing something that they haven't been used to doing.
Yeah, but can you say tonight at the top of the list based on their recovery would be Schmidt and Webb, and then you go from there?
Yeah, we would like to do it. Or even though Tyler Johnson did what he did, he's too valuable a piece of our bullpen to necessarily think, well, he could do that again. But it's not out of the question that, as we get into the best 2 out of 3, that he's got a possibility of being an option, whether it's game 3 or go to him earlier or when we need to, depending on the scenario of the series. But we're just going to try to win game 1, and whoever's available there. But those 2 guys have started all year long for us, and if the recovery's not super slow, then I think one of those 2 guys will be our option. One of them feels a little fresher, we may go with that guy. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
All right, talking with Jerry Myers. Can we hold you over for a couple of minutes? You got time?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you in just a couple of minutes. So USC pitching coach Jerry Myers with us here on Sports Talk. We've got a break coming up. Got some more questions for him. Want to ask him about Oklahoma State and what his early scouting report on the Cowboys tells him. Having seen them play 2 games this past weekend, I can tell him that got to keep the leadoff man off the bases. He's pretty fast, and he can steal a base. And then they've got power kind of sprinkled throughout the lineup, but and several guys with good batting averages. But they just seem to be a team well coached that plays good fundamental baseball. And then defensively, they're like the Gamecocks. I mean, this should be a series where there are very few errors. Both of these teams pick it extremely well and pitch extremely well. So I would expect low-scoring, down-to-the-wire games here in the Super Regional.
Which means we'll probably get the opposite.
Exactly, which means now they'll average double-digit runs. No, I can't see that happening. We'll be back more with Coach Myers in a moment. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth, the professor, Tom Hayes. Braves have won. You don't hear that very often. They won 4-2. Tampa Bay beat Arizona 6-3. Toronto over Detroit 7-2. And the Cubs beat Philadelphia 8-1. Back to USC pitching coach Jerry Myers for a couple of minutes. What did you see in Schmidt's outing in relief yesterday? Anything to be concerned about?
He kept coming in a tougher situation than he came in, and for the most part, his stuff was normal. The situation coming in is not what he's used to. Starting a game clean, and his stuff seemed normal. It was a very tight situation, trying to play damage control and not let them get closer with just 6 outs to go or whatever it was at that point. And he handled it okay. I don't know if anyone else comes into that situation, if they're able to get that first guy out, that makes a big difference. But had one really hard hit ball, and then another one that was a pretty good pitch that ended up falling in for a base hit. But no, I think he didn't know what to expect with him or Braden, having not seen them do that. I don't know if Braden's ever done it. Clark did throw in relief last year, so he pitched in coming games with traffic before, but it worked out, and he contributed, and it worked out where neither one of them had to throw more than an inning, so that part was good.
Okay, Oklahoma State, I'm sure you've taken a look more closely at them today. I got a chance to see them up at the Clemson Regional over the weekend. They went right through that regional in 3 games and dominated all 3 teams they played in every aspect: offense, defense, and pitching. Of course, you're looking at the hitting side of things. What do you think of them as a bunch of hitters?
Yeah, even as a whole, I mean, they're just like everyone else that's in the last 16 here. They're playing their best baseball right now, and they've pitched it all year. They haven't hit it all year, but they are now, and their offense is clicking a little bit. It's probably been a little sporadic offensively for them. They're outstanding defensively. So well-rounded. The lineup is balanced. They could do some things. They throughout the year, I guess, played a really significant amount of small ball and bunted guys up early on, tried to play for scoring 1 run an inning, kind of like the Augie Garrido Texas teams did for years, and just go get that 1 run. And if we can do that 4 or 5 times or 3 or 4 times during a game, our pitching is going to carry us, and that's kind of how they played the majority of their year. I think going into the postseason play and even their Big 12 tournament, they tried to open it up a little bit and let their guys hit a little bit and move some runners instead of laying down that sack bunt. So I guess they're well-rounded in terms of being able to play small ball and turn it loose and swing the bat a little bit like they did this past weekend. So we'll have our hands full. They've got very, very stout pitching, and they moved their closer into a start and roll out of the necessity to try to give themselves the best chance to go 2-0 in that regional, and it worked for them.
Yeah, Tyler Buffett was outstanding against Clemson, and they play excellent defense like you guys do. You foresee a low-scoring regional where the every opportunity to score, you better get somebody home?
Yeah, you never know. It's one of those deals where baseball's the hardest game to predict the score. That's why you never see any points given or anything like that, like you do the other ones. It's just you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you run 2 aces out there, don't give anything up all year, and they end up giving up some runs. And it could go either way. Both of us at times, got the offense clicking and got some momentum over the weekend and scored some runs. And at other times, it hadn't been that way. It's been more pitching than defense. So we expect a hard-fought series for sure, and that however we have to win it, we just got to find a way, whether it's to score some runs and out hit them, or if it's to keep a low scoring game in check and have a chance to win or hold a lead late.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Look forward to being over there this weekend. We'll be over there for the press conferences and the practices this week. And thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again. Get it, as we all know, and good luck against Oklahoma State.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Jerry Myers, USC pitching coach. Yeah, I don't think there can be in college sports a greater grind in the playoffs, in the postseason on a team than the baseball playoffs. When you have to play every day, the NCAA basketball tournament, after you get through your league tournament, I'm not talking about your league, I'm talking about when you get to the national tournament, you get a day off between games. Then you get a week off between games if you advance.
Well, I think the grind on the coaches is the fact that, as he said, you put a guy in a different role and you don't know what he's going to get, but you just have to go on the fly and say, I think he can do it, but you absolutely have no empirical evidence that they can.
Okay, we'll be right back for the recruiting report. We thank again Jerry Myers for being with us here on Sports Talk. Now to the recruiting knowledge for you tonight. We begin with the USC commitments. Linebacker 6'2", 216 out of Woodmont, committed to the Gamecocks, was at camp Saturday, earned the offer. Gamecocks went to the top of the list. It was the offer he wanted. Louisville, Maryland, Minnesota, Missouri, Marshall, Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, Old Dominion, some of the other offers. He says he just loves everything that they're doing. South Carolina loves the coaches, loves the school. They love him because of his speed. He is legitimately very, very fast. His coach is Ned Cuthbertson. Says he is super explosive. Says he can run as fast as a running back or receiver. He says that he can rush the passer. He says, I know he can rush the passer better than anybody in the nation, or at least as good as them that I know or I've seen. He had 14 sacks last season. Also, defensive end Devontae Wyatt, 6'4", make that 6'3". I just talked to him a little while ago. He's actually 6'3", 298 from Decatur, Georgia. He was at USC's camp Tuesday, got the offer after working out, then made the commitment to Muschamp today. NC State or some of the other offers. And he can play defensive end or he can play inside as well. And he said he's a pretty good pass rusher too. He also has excellent speed. And that showed out at the camp. That gives the Gamecocks 12 commitments for the 2017 class. When USC was down at Jones County Junior College in Mississippi on Sunday for a satellite camp looking at a number of players, one they looked at closely, defensive back Javian Hamilton, 5'11", 165. His only offer right now is Texas, San Antonio, but he's hoping to earn a Gamecock offer. He ran a 4.4 40, broad jumped 11 feet, ran a shuffle of 3.94, working out in front of Travaris Robinson. And they took him through multiple drills, and he said he laid it out there on the table for him and feels like they were pleased with what he did. They plan to return to Jones to scout the second game of the season for that team. Defensive back Tank Robinson of Lake Marion was at Louisville this week. 2018 linebacker Braylon Fisher of Dallas, Georgia was at Clemson today. USC today offered defensive back Zion Gilbert of Montgomery, Alabama. Clemson offered 2018 offensive lineman Trey Hill of Warner Robins, Georgia in camp. Defensive end Alec Jackson of Montgomery was at USC today and going to Clemson tomorrow. USC's in his top 10. Clemson hasn't offered. 2018 receiver Deion Kendrick of South Point was at Clemson today, as was defensive end Malik Herring of Forsyth, Georgia. Defensive lineman Neil Farrell of Mobile was offered by Alabama at camp yesterday. He was at USC Saturday. And Marcus Stroman, the former USC guard, visited Charleston Southern yesterday, but the Bucs have taken a commitment from 6'6" Jamal David of Maryland to take the last spot they have on the roster for 2016, so they cannot take Stroman. Top of the hour, we'll be back.
from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a very busy Wednesday night. We've heard from Jerry Myers, Gary Gilmore, coming up after the next break to talk about Coastal and the matchup with LSU. And then at 7:30 tonight, we're going to dive into Oklahoma State and USC once again from the Oklahoma State side of things. Coach Josh Holliday, Oklahoma State, with us to talk about his team and what they've been doing. My goodness, they've been in South Carolina since Thursday. So, I mean, they've had to kill a lot of time. Of course, they, were getting ready for the regional at Clemson and playing some games. They only played 3 games at Clemson. And, they finished up on time late Sunday night. And so they've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to kill. I imagine they'll make their way, if they're not in Columbia now, I imagine they'll make their way to Columbia by tomorrow and then start practicing over at Founders Park, have their practice on Friday and start playing on Saturday. One thing I was going to mention to Jerry, we didn't get a chance to, but gosh, the heat is supposed to be very hot this weekend, and that's something you have to consider with your pitchers and how quickly they're going to run out of steam in the steam out there. Going to have to monitor those conditions.
Well, some guys like the heat. In fact, they pitch better in the heat. But the interesting thing is, I haven't looked at Oklahoma State's roster, but I gotta figure that if they're in South Carolina, they got some days to kill. They had to have gone to the coast one day, wouldn't you think? Last time I checked, Oklahoma is landlocked.
Yes,
and
yes,
they don't get to the coast that often.
Yes, it is. The Citadel, the football team in Athlon Sports preseason FCS top 25. And the Citadel, this is a release from the Citadel, is ranked number 10. First time in school history, the Bulldogs have been in a preseason poll.
Wow.
So that's good. That's going to elevate the expectations. They didn't put the whole, let's see, did they put the poll in here? No. I'm assuming, I would think that Coastal Carolina is, they wouldn't be in us. That's right. They're moving up. Yeah, I forgot about that. However, I will mention this related to Coastal Carolina football, and that is that the Sun Belt, which is where they're headed, will implement a football championship game starting in 2018. This was something told to the AP under condition of anonymity because the person had no business sharing the information. So the Sun Belt becomes the last of the 10 FBS conferences to play a football title game. 2018, the Sun Belt is set to be a 10-team conference. Idaho and New Mexico State are departing after 2017. Coastal Carolina is moving up to join the Sun Belt in 2018. So they will be a part of that. That's probably what they kind of had in mind when they joined the league. All right, we'll be back. Speaking of Coastal, Gary Gilmore coming up. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes from downtown Columbia. Let's continue our coverage of the upcoming Super Regionals. We heard from Jerry Myers at USC a little while ago. Josh Holliday from Oklahoma State's coming up, but the other team in our state headed to the Super Regionals, Coastal Carolina. Coach Gary Gilmore joining us, and congratulations. That was some weekend in Raleigh, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those ones where you weren't sure that it was ever going to end, but we're very happy and fortunate that we came out on top.
Yeah, and what a way. Did you get any sleep on Monday night? How could you sleep in that situation, trailing but batting and bases loaded? And did you get any sleep? Did your players get any sleep?
I don't know about them. I went to sleep. we had been at the ballpark for 14 and a half hours.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Oh yeah. That's the wonderful organization's idea of student welfare. Leave us out there for that long. So, I mean, it was absolutely insane, and I'm sure GK Young, who had to step to the plate with the bases loaded and one out. I'm sure that I'm sure he didn't sleep much and was sweating bullets all night and all morning long. Whatever, we did our best to try to relax him and get him to think about other stuff, whatever. But it was very difficult. And I'm sure on their end, pitching wise, to have to walk out in that situation, it's tough on both sides.
Yeah. What now? I was watching on Monday night, and you guys had the bases loaded, one out. It's been drizzling, and it was raining, gradually raining harder, and water was starting to stand on the field. And were y'all upset that they stopped it right then? Did you think it could have continued?
I mean, I didn't think it could continue, but I was upset because we were hitting, and they were trying to throw a wet noodle to the plate. So, they were struggling to throw it over the plate, and truth be known, I fought like crazy to not play that whole day.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me. I got outvoted because I looked at the forecast and spent about 2 hours on the internet in between games, and the smarter thing to do for both teams would have been to play the next afternoon in sunny, clear weather and the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, it worked out for us, and I'll take it any way I can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you win, you pull it out, and then you're watching Rice and LSU, and Rice is teasing you, right? They're up 2-0, getting late, and you're going to host if they hang on, but they just couldn't hang on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. And, it is what it is. You look back at our schedule, this group of kids, we've been on the road, Phil, 5 of the last 6 weeks. It's been incredible, how much. I mean, we just been living in, out of a suitcase and popping in long enough to clean our laundry and, at most maybe get one practice in here and there. So, it's fine. I've never played at LSU, so, it'll be a great experience for us. And, if we're the better team, we'll find a way to win. At this day and age and this time, if we're fortunate enough to go to Omaha, we have to win on the road there as well. So, it's obviously be a lot better playing at Springbrook Stadium, but, things played out the way they did. And, even if we had hosted, we would not have been a national seed. So we'd have gone on the road somewhere.
Sure. What about this LSU team that you're going to face down there? I mean, we all know how tough Alex Box Stadium is for the opposing teams and how much their fans get into it and what a lift they give. How do you prepare your guys for what you're going to be stepping into from that standpoint?
I don't know that there's a particular way to mentally be able to block all that out. I mean, if it was, somebody could sell it and make a lot of money. But hopefully, some older guys not getting caught up in the moment of stuff. And one thing I do know about their fans from several of the buddies I have that have played there numerous times, and is that as loud as they are, they're not obnoxious fans by any means. They're great students of the game. They understand the game. They cheer for their guys. They're not belligerent to your team and things like that. So, we went to Texas A&M last year and played in front of 10, 11, 12,000 people, and they were very similar. They didn't abuse us verbally or whatever, and really make it into a just an ugly type verbal match or whatever. They were very good students of the game as well, and heck, is it an advantage to them? Absolutely. Just like playing at home for South Carolina and Clemson are in our state. It's great fans, and they're pulling for their teams and things like that. And heck, when they get the mojo going, it surely affects their players in a positive way. We've just got to make sure it doesn't affect us in a negative way.
This will be your third Super Regional. 2010 was the previous one. Before that, 2008. So I know it's very gratifying to get to this point. You're so close to Omaha, you can probably smell the stakes. But, LSU, what a great program and great tradition. This team, what have you learned about them in your work today in preparing for them?
Well, I mean, they're they have tremendous frontline pitching, great pitching depth in their bullpen, et cetera. Typical upper echelon SEC team, power arms, position player wise, in a lot of ways, they're quite a bit similar to us. They have, some power. They have great athleticism, play good defense, those type things. So, there'll be a handful, but I don't think they are it may play out differently or whatever, but I don't think they are the LSU bashers of 10 years ago.
Sure.
It's a different type style club. They're more athletic. They create offense, a lot of offense and defense with their feet and athleticism, and try to use their pitching as what they play behind and use to catapult them to the places they want to go and wins and stuff. So, that'll be a great challenge for us, but, I don't fear them that they're just so far beyond us that we can't compete with them.
Sure. What are your pitching plans? Do you know yet?
We're going to have to see kind of where we're at after tomorrow. I had to bring Beckwith back the other night for a couple innings, and we had started him on Friday the other day, so I don't know. If he's not 100%, tomorrow, then we'll probably go with Cunningham on Saturday.
Okay. When do y'all travel?
We travel tomorrow afternoon.
Very good. Well, listen, best of luck. We'll all be tuned in watching. That's the other thing, though. You don't play until 9 o'clock Eastern time. At least you'll be out of the sun and the heat to some degree. It's going to be 100 degrees here. Of course, it'll be humid and hot there, too. But that place, it'll be, what? They're going to have a football-type atmosphere, I have a feeling.
Oh, there's no doubt. Oh, yeah, they'll be tailgating all afternoon. So, we'll get the best shot they have at us with that. And, just hope that, all the South Carolina and Clemson people out there, as well as all the other fans in the state, will take us under their wings, say a prayer for us, and be in there pulling for us. Hopefully, us and South Carolina both can get to Omaha.
Well, just in case you, have to argue with an umpire, did you take any pointers from Coach Avens' 360 move?
I tell you what, Elliot and I are very, very close friends. And, I gave him hell. I texted him today. I told him, I said, for a guy that had a snake bite and then tore a ligament in his ankle, I said, they're going to fire the football coach because you're going to be the best guy to teach the spin move I've ever seen. I said, I've never seen a guy. I've never seen a white old guy like you spin like that.
Defensive ends could learn a lesson from that, couldn't they?
There's no doubt. I asked him. I said, can you? I told him, I said, can you do the swim move on top of it? I said, you can have a second career here.
Fantastic. Hey, good luck to you, and hope things go well this weekend. Maybe we'll be talking Omaha next week.
That would be a dream come true. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Gary Gilmore from Coastal Carolina, and got the Chanticleers 2 wins away from Omaha. They've been the Supers before, as we mentioned. It's been a few years, but they know what it's like to be in that pressure cooker, but not the pressure cooker that Baton Rouge is going to be, especially at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. We'll be back in a moment. And thanks to Coach Gilmore for joining us here on Sports Talk. A reminder, whether you are a Chanticleer fan or a Citadel fan or a Coastal fan, I said that already, or a Charleston Southern fan, a Gamecock fan, a Clemson fan, Furman, Wofford, South Carolina State, North Greenville, Limestone, Benedict, Francis Marion, Erskine. Who else plays sports out there? USC Lancaster, USC Salkehatchie, all of you.
Converse.
Whoever you are a fan of, we can all agree on Founders Federal Credit Union. They do have a convenient location at USC at the Russell House, a new location, Highway 93 in Clemson. Coming soon, Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. I got a biting cold email here from Mark. Come on, man. He's right, though. I have to take the blame here. Come on, man. Charleston Southern is number 6, and you're calling out the Citadel. And by the way, Coastal Carolina is FCS this year. Get it together, guys. You're right, Mark. I apologize. You're correct. So for that, I now give you the entire Athlon preseason top 25. Number 1 is North Dakota State. Number 2 is Sam Houston State. Number 3 is Northern Iowa. Number 4 is Richmond. Number 5 is Jacksonville State. Number 6 is Charleston Southern. Number 7 is Chattanooga. Number 8 is South Dakota State. Number 9 is Coastal Carolina. They're an FCS independent this year. Okay, so they're in that transition, not totally up to the FBS
but they're
level
playing
yet.
a lot of Sun Belt teams.
They are. That's what confused me. Number 10 is the Citadel. Number 11, Illinois State. Number 12, Eastern Washington. 13, Bill and Mary. 14, Jim Madison. 15, North Dakota. 16, Joe Montana. 17, McNeese State. 18, Towson. 19, Western Illinois. 20, Villanova. 21 is Portland State. 22 is Youngstown State. Who's the coach there at Youngstown State?
Oh, we got 5 by Nebraska.
Bo Pelini.
Mm-hmm.
23, the toothpaste of Colgate. 24, Northern Arizona. And 25, Eastern Kentucky. So there it is, 1 through 25.
But then again,
sorry, I hurt your feelings.
The Citadel, this is their first time ever in the
That's what their release said, yes.
Okay.
And see, I blame the Citadel because they should have put the whole 25 in their release. They only talked about their own team. Narcissistic as that is, you need to look out for the other people too.
They were just
so that people like lazy people like me don't have to actually look it up.
They were just looking out for the school that their paycheck is on.
One thing I learn every day is that some of our listeners are actually smarter than some of our hosts here on Sports Talk. I won't say which ones, just some of them. Okay, we're going to find out about Okie State in a moment. Okay, we're back. It is Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network, Wednesday night from downtown Columbia. Phil Kornblut, Professor Tom Hayes. A lot of talk tonight about the Super Regionals. Heard from Gary Gilmore at Coastal Carolina, Jerry Myers from USC. The team coming to Columbia this weekend just left Clemson earlier this week with the regional victory. Oklahoma State played extremely well. Coach Josh Holliday joining us here on Sports Talk. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Good evening to you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. The director of taxation here in the state of South Carolina wants to find your team so they can start charging taxes on you guys for being in the state so long. My goodness.
We're happy to pay them. We're happy to pay them. We're have enjoyed the opportunity to come into the NCAA tournament and compete. And when we saw that we were going to get sent to this part of the country, we knew we'd be heading into great baseball, great facilities, great fans. And our kids have embraced this chance to try to navigate a tough road, but one that we know we're, equipped to handle. And, we played well in Clemson against a couple of very good ball clubs there. And now we'll need to continue that if we want to move on.
What did y'all do today, and where are y'all tonight?
We woke up this morning in Clemson and spent our last day at the Holiday Inn there. And, boy, the town of Clemson, the people at the university could not have been any nicer to us and treated our kids in a first-class way. And kind of in the spirit of college athletics, they just opened themselves up to us and allowed us to practice there as we waited to see what was going to happen. We got done Sunday night, so we had all of Monday and Tuesday to kind of wait and try to see where, our next destination would be. And rather than flying home only to turn back around and fly back this direction, we chose to stay put. And I just had a good time. Our kids spent a lot of time together. We practiced a little bit each day. And, just a very good experience for us there. And we were treated about as fine as you could ever hope to be treated in someone else's facilities on someone else's campus.
Did y'all practice again today at Clemson?
We did. We worked out this morning and hopped on a bus, and we're here getting settled into a new environment and, hoping to adjust a little bit to this setting and get ready for what should be a weekend of awesome baseball.
Now, where will you practice tomorrow?
We'll get a workout in here, over here at the university. Coach Holbrook and the staff kind enough to allow our kids to get a little bit of workout in, and then we'll practice on Friday in the tournament, and first pitch comes Saturday.
Yeah. Now, do you worry about all this downtime that you've had, and you only played 3 games in the regional, which you're happy about because that means you went right through it, but you've had a lot of downtime, and I know practice cannot recreate the game setting. Do you worry about any staleness setting in?
You know what? I would have said in the certain parts of the year that definitely is something as a coach you worry about. But I think this time of the year, the adrenaline and the energy and the excitement and all the things that go with being on the road and walking into a beautiful ballpark and knowing what your environment's going to be, I think it keeps you sharp. And I think physically, some rest this time of year is a good thing for college players because many of them have played more baseball to this point than probably they ever have. Certainly the younger players are past what they're used to playing. And I think that the humidity and the heat and not putting your body through that rigorous, 5-6 games, trying to navigate whether it be a conference tournament or a long regional tournament, you hope that it keeps some of your kids fresh. And, come Saturday, both teams will be back at it. And I know our kids will be ready. So we've tried to do some things with practice just to stay sharp. But, our kids have played a lot of baseball at this stage in the year, and a few off days I don't think are anything to sweat.
Talking with Coach Josh Holliday from Oklahoma State. Now, one thing Monty Lee said after losing to you guys on Sunday and having lost to you twice and you shut down that powerful offense and those big hitters of Clemson, he talked about how well your guys kept the ball off the middle of the plate and kind of down and away. And can you kind of explain the approach you guys took in pitching to Clemson, and will that translate to the approach against the Gamecocks?
Oh, I think anytime you face a quality lineup like Clemson, or certainly this week in South Carolina, you have to make all of your pitches. We didn't just set in one area of the play. We had to pitch hard and soft and, change patterns. That's a quality team. And, by no means can you just do one thing and get away with it. I think what our kids did such a good job of was just competing each pitch and executing. And we did avoid the middle of the plate, but in order to do that, we had to move the ball around and keep guys off balance and move their feet a little bit, and just put a good plan together. There's really no one way to navigate a lineup, and good hitters make adjustments, and so we'll have to put together a good scouting report and study film and prepare ourselves to play South Carolina, a team that we certainly seen during the year on television and respect them tremendously, and so we'll go to work as a staff and try to put together what we hope is a good game plan, and then expect our kids to go out and execute it.
Of course, from your time at Vanderbilt as an assistant coach, you've been to Founders Park before and have faced the Gamecocks, so you kind of know a little bit about what to expect game time in Columbia?
Yeah, it's an awesome place. I remember our first series here, just being really impressed with obviously the stadium's gorgeous, but the fans and the environment and the passion for baseball and just the setting in general, I thought was exceptional. So we're excited for our kids to see it. Clemson was a great setting as well. So, we enjoy these big venues with great crowds, and it's fun to be playing college baseball in part of the country where people line up to come see these games. And, the heritage of baseball at South Carolina is strong, with the national championships and the trip to the College World Series, and the last couple of decades really being a baseball powerhouse. We know there's passion here. So we look forward to the chance to go out and compete in what should be one of the best environments across the country. And I think one of the best matchups in the country when you look at both teams and, just the way both teams are playing. I think this will be a great super regional.
Sure.
Well, obviously running the gauntlet of the Big 12 gets your team prepared for any postseason. But it seemed to be, Coach, just watching from television, your team's body language, as if they've accepted this challenge to try to take over somebody else's ballpark. I mean, just get the lead, pitch well, play strong defense. Do you seem to think maybe, your team has an added focus by being away from home?
I really do. I think that's an amazingly accurate observation on your part. We hosted a super regional 2 years ago at home, and it was exciting, and it was an awesome thing to earn, but it did come with the pressure of being the home team. And I think being on the road, it puts you in an environment where the only thing you have is each other. You're in someone else's house. They have the pressure of the home crowd. They have the expectation that goes with the fan base and the following. And certainly this is a program of great expectations here at South Carolina, and they've earned that. So for us to come in here as a group of kids and coaches and players to just unite and go into it with nothing to lose and play an aggressive, confident brand of baseball is our only option. That is who we are. It's how we've gotten to this point, and we won't deviate from that. And we mean that out of the greatest amount of respect, because it's how we play our best. And I think for us to be dangerous, we have to play that way, and our kids know that. So the trip to Clemson, we went into it with a positive mindset. We've been a great road team this year, and we respect the environments that we're heading into. But we know in order to play well, we simply have to stay within ourselves. And this group of kids is older. They know how to slow the game down. We have some kids that have played in 4 regionals, and this will be their second super regional. So they have experience this time of year and understanding that when the game gets fast, you got to step out of the box or step off the rubber and collect yourself. And the biggest thing is to trust yourself and not get caught in the moment too much to where you get overwhelmed, but rather slow things down and just try to win the pitch at hand. So yeah, that's a pretty accurate observation of who we are.
Coach, we've got a 4-minute break coming up. Can we hold you over? Are you in a position we can ask you to wait and ask you a few more questions?
Yeah.
Great.
I'd be happy to wait. No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank you very much. Josh Holliday, head coach at Oklahoma State, with us here on Sports Talk. Break is coming up. We'll have a few more questions for the coach about preparing for the Gamecocks, what worries him about their lineup and their pitching, and some other things about his team as well. Sports Talk here Wednesday night, talking about the super regionals coming up, the one in Columbia, South Carolina, and Oklahoma State, Saturday at 3 o'clock, first pitch. Back in a moment. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, visiting a couple of more minutes with Oklahoma State baseball coach Josh Holliday. Coach, thank you for holding on for us. Do you guys get a chance to go out tonight and kind of enjoy, what Columbia might have to offer and relax a little bit?
Yeah. We actually got in about 5 o'clock, and we're at a really nice hotel here. I think we're in the downtown area, and from what it looks like, there's great places to eat, and we're close to campus. So we want our kids to definitely enjoy this and get out and see the community and the school. And, the fact that we're here a couple of days early is nice for us as we get a chance to not only compete in the regional format, but also, be together on the road and travel. This is about the experience of our players and their memories. And you got to enjoy the process. You can't be so, wound tight that it's all about. And that's the relationships and moments that these guys have together. So our kids will have dinner and spend some time hanging out here and just kind of looking around the area. And then, we'll get a little bit more dialed in as we work closer to Saturday. But yes, it's nice to be here early enough to enjoy the area and kind of appreciate the energy surrounding the school and the university.
Now, I remember a few years ago in a super regional, your old rival came in here, Oklahoma, and their coach at the time, Sonny, help me, Pro.
Sonny Galloway.
Yeah, Sonny Galloway. And great guy, nicest guy. But he seemed awestruck by what he saw in Columbia with the stadium and the energy and the fans and all that. And it really, I think maybe his team played that way. Your guys, how do you think they will approach this weekend and deal with their surroundings?
We look forward to it. I think being at Clemson last weekend where, 6,000-7,000 fans, whatever it was, the fact that those folks were out there all day long tailgating and motorhomes and crowds and just the energy and the fact that they were engaged in the game and engaged towards not only their team but ours, it was good for us. I think it was a good, precursor to this weekend where it gets your kids in that mood and understanding that there'll be energy from the crowd towards you. There'll be noise. And that's a good thing. We enjoy that. We've played in some big venues. We played in front of 12,000 people against the University of Oklahoma a couple different occasions in a Bedlam rivalry that is as good a rivalry as there is in college baseball. So I've seen every rivalry there is. I've been in the SEC, ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12. I know there's some special ones out there, but our kids have been exposed to some of those similar environments with the hostile energy. So we'll be fine with it, and we will not get caught up in it. We will actually participate and enjoy the chance to play in a big-time environment. That's what this is all about.
All right, your scouting of the Gamecocks here over the past, I guess since my days have all run together, I guess since yesterday. What's your assessment? What's your greatest concern about them?
Well, the concern is that they're, obviously a well-rounded, accomplished club. I mean, you don't get this far and win the East without having a team that's awfully well-rounded. So, we respect what they've done. They've obviously navigated the SEC schedule incredibly well. They came back through the losers bracket in their own regional, which shows a great amount of grit in their team. So we know we're facing a great ball club, but beyond that, we can't allow that to influence our thinking. We just need to take care of ourselves. And if we execute the way we can, play baseball well, then who we play becomes very secondary if we play well. And if you don't play well, you probably don't stand a chance this time of year anyway. So we'll know, we know there's individuals over there that can really swing the bat. There's some big arms. There's some athleticism for sure. Very well-rounded team. I know Coach Holbrook for a long time. Jerry Myers has been there forever, and Esposito. So these guys know what they're doing. They're winners, and we have a very similar coaching staff as well. So I think what this time of year is about is not so much the opponents. I think it's about each team getting their players to play at their best, creating a confidence and a calmness inside your own team, and then really going out and executing and avoiding any kind of mistakes that lead to big innings. I think that will be the key for both of us. But, looking at their stats, there's some excellent numbers and some real standout players. So very good ball club and very much a program that knows how to win.
Will you start Thomas Hatch on Saturday?
We will.
Mm-hmm.
We will roll Thomas out there on game one like we have really, pretty much all year long. I think he's thrown the first game of every weekend all year. So that's, that won't change. And then we'll kind of go from there. We'll keep evaluating our plan and trying to figure out how we match up best and try to put our kids in position to be effective.
Well, we congratulate you once again. Very impressive performance at Clemson last weekend. We look forward to seeing you here in Columbia. You guys don't tear up the town too much tonight, and we'll see you over the ballpark.
Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate being on with you.
Thank you so much, Coach. We do appreciate it. That is the coach from Oklahoma State, Josh Holliday. It's been a long couple of days for them, but apparently an enjoyable time for his team in the state of South Carolina, and they'll see if they can extend their enjoyment in Columbia this weekend with some wins over the Gamecocks. We'll be right back. Thanks again to Coach Josh Holliday. He makes a good point. And I'm not breaking any news here. A team that travels and stays together and has an enjoyable time, it bonds and it brings your team together, and it can lead to excellent play. It's not always a bad thing to be on the road. Your focus is good because you're on a business trip. Home team sometimes gets caught up in the emotion with the fans and everything else, and they play tight. Visiting team plays looser. They're on a business trip and having a good time. So we'll see how the two teams handle it. My buddy Ed sends in a text message about USC's women's basketball attendance. Says tickets to women's cost a lot less. And to me, to that, I say you are a chauvinist, male chauvinist.
And then
pig.
The other statement is,
I would never suggest that about people who go. They go because they love the women Gamecocks.
Well, here's the point, though.
Did you say Lady Gamecocks? I said women Gamecocks.
What he fails to say, though, is other women's games also have cheaper tickets, but their fans not showing up, so it has to be more than that. Plus, here's the other key, and I was telling people this. You got to understand that when you bring fannies in the seats, no matter what the price of the ticket is, they're buying concessions. And I've been to some women's games, and those concessionaires are working their tails off because they got a big crowd, and they are eating and drinking.
Don't forget the baseball draft begins tomorrow too, on top of everything else. Yes. Yeah. The baseball draft. I'm glad that finally, all those years, Major League Baseball, the draft was kind of done in secrecy.
Yes.
And it was really tough because we would have to call guys who were eligible for the draft to find out if they were drafted. And oftentimes they get a call from us, not knowing the number, thinking it's an agent or a baseball club or whatever. Then they'd find out it was us. And it was like, oh, you're not calling me to tell me I was drafted. So anyway, that's something you got to deal with here over the next, 3 days, I think, 50 rounds. Braden Webb, did we mention this? Braden Webb is eligible for the draft. Jerry Myers confirmed that. He is eligible for the draft because he's 3 years removed from high school. So that's something else we'll have to follow. Monty Lee is going to meet with the media tomorrow to wrap up his season. We'll try and line him up for the program tomorrow night. USC's having interviews with players tomorrow. We'll be there for that. Bring you some of that on the program tomorrow night. And more recruiting, of course, as these camps continue. And what else? Anything else we're going to do tomorrow night? Oh, we got the game 3 of the finals tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who do you like?
Cleveland by a scant hair. I mean, the Warriors have beaten them 7 straight, counting the regular season and, of course, the end of last year.
There will be no what's his name tonight for Cleveland?
Love.
Yeah, no Kevin Love.
Maybe addition by subtraction. We'll see. Okay,
thank you, Carcinova Mason, for a fabulous, fabulous job as always. Thanks to all of you for being with us. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.